Mr. Cooley, can we make sure your mic is on?
So I'll call this meeting to order at 6:01. And that's a guess. We don't have two clocks that agree. And the first order of business will be the swearing in of Carlos Cueva.
Yes.
All right. So
Step down here.
Nicole will do that.
All right, here you go to follow along. All right. I, and state your name,
I, Carlos Cueva,
do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. I take this obligation freely, without mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
All right, perfect. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Have a seat.
Carlos.
Yes. They do. Sure.
You won't ever do this again? Not for the first time?
We can do it up here, or you can go down below, whichever you prefer. Yeah, if you guys want to stand up. Commissioner Cueva? Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Garay requested an excused absent this evening. Vice Chair Southard?
Here.
And Chairman Cooley.
Here. Are there any adjustments to the agenda that we should be aware of?
No adjustments.
Thank you. And any conflict of interest disclosures? Doesn't appear there isn't. Okay. This meeting be open to the public and conducted in a virtual format to be inclusive of all participation preferences. Public comment participation is encouraged by emailing any comments to the city clerk's office or by calling in using the phone number provided on the front of the agenda. Do we have any public comments for items not on the agenda?
I have no written requests. Rudy, do we have any callers on the line?
I have no callers on the line.
All right, thank you. So then we'll move on to the action items. And the first action item is the approval of the minutes. Anyone have any comments that need to be made, or are we ready to ask for a motion?
Well, I have a question for Ms. Wheelwright. Since I was absent and there's a new member on here, am I able to vote on the minutes?
If you read the minutes and verified it, then you can vote on it.
Okay.
But if you choose to abstain, we can always forward the minutes to the next meeting.
Okay.
Whichever you prefer.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a motion,
I'll move to approve the minutes.
and do we have a second?
I will second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Cueva? Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chair Southard?
Yes.
Chairman Cooley?
Yes. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a conditional use permit, CUP 2024-0004, for 1906 ABC Type 41 license located at 1888 Golf Club Drive, APN 400-250-001, which is a request for approval of Type 41 on-sale beer and wine eating located at the Golf Course Clubhouse and Golf Course at 1888 Golf Club Drive. Have a staff report?
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Jillian Fountain, Planning Staff. During the preparation of the staff report for the proposed project, the owner notification labels were not provided to staff in order for us to notify the property owners within 300 feet of the location. Staff is requesting that the project is to be continued off calendar and re-advertised upon the resolution of this item.
You can make a motion to make it official, just to
Okay.
continue
Can
off
I have a
calendar.
motion to continue this calendar?
Yeah, I will move to continue CUP 2024-004 off calendar.
And a second?
I will second.
And a roll call, please.
Commissioner Cueva?
Yay.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chair Southard?
Yes.
Chairman Cooley?
Yes. Okay, so we'll continue that off calendar without discussion. Next item is a public hearing for plot plan PP 2023-0619 and variance V 2024-0002, McClure Amendment to modify the building elevations, parking, and circulation. The plot plan PP 2023-0619 and variance V 2024-004 to conduct a public hearing and consideration of a request to modify the elevations, parking, and circulation of previously approved plot plan PP 2020-03017. Do we have a staff report, please?
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Katie Jensen, Planning Staff. An application for a plot plan amendment, PP 2023-0619, and a parking variance, V 2024-0002, were submitted to the city requesting to amend the previously approved building elevations and reduction on parking. The applicant is requesting the plot plan amendment to keep a more industrial look and requesting to be constructed as a concrete tilt-up slab-on-grade. The previously approved elevations included a glass roll-up door and stucco finishes to the exterior. The applicant is requesting a parking variance from 39 to 32 stalls due to having difficulty with providing necessary space for the wet and dry utilities, as well as the water quality management plan basin at the project frontage, and the applicant states that this reduction will alleviate their issue. The original approved project is to construct a 16,823 square foot industrial building with 3 tenant spaces on a 1.02 acre vacant property on the north side of First Street between Veely Ave and Grace Ave, and was approved unanimously by the Planning Commission on January 11th, 2022. No changes to the square footage are proposed with this item. From a CEQA standpoint, an initial study mitigated negative declaration was prepared and adopted for PP 2020-0317, and no new information has been presented from which it may be fairly argued that a plot plan may involve a new significant environmental effect or a substantial increase in the severity of previously identified significant effects, or demonstrated that a mitigation measure previously found to be infeasible is now feasible. A public notice was placed in the press enterprise, and property owners within 300 feet were notified of this public hearing. No comments have been received to date. At this time, staff recommends that the public hearing be opened and that the Planning Commission approve the plot plan amendment PP 2023-0619 and variance V 2024-0002. This concludes my presentation, and myself and my planning manager are happy to answer any questions you may have. I do believe the applicant is also available in attendance by phone tonight, but I didn't get confirmation.
Any discussion by the commission?
So the parking reduction is, we're not anticipated to have a case where there will be parking in the street at this point. With the proposed use, they would be able to fully park their operation on site?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Are there any, we'll open this for public hearing. Are there any requests to speak?
I have no written request. Rudy, do we have a caller on the line?
I have the applicant on the line.
Okay, you can go ahead and send it through. Caller, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Go right ahead. You're on with Planning Commission.
Good evening, Commission.
Yes, we can hear you.
I am here to answer any questions if you have any, just to be available to you.
Are there any questions from the Planning Commission? Appears there are no questions. There was the one that has been answered about the parking. Do we have any other public member that wishes to speak? Okay, then we'll close the public hearing at this time, and I'll ask for a motion.
While I'm sad to see the architecture come, kind of reduce a little bit from, all the pop outs that we have on there, it is consistent, I think, with the character in that neighborhood, for a construction technique. They still do have some embellishment on there, so I don't have any issue with it, so I will move to approve.
Do we have a second?
I move to approve as presented.
I will second.
Commissioner Cueva?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chair Southard?
Yes.
Chairman Cooley?
Yes.
Mr. Cooley, I think your mic is off.
Sorry, that's been approved by the commission, the plot plan amendment as noted. Okay, that moves us to the next item on the agenda, which is a public hearing for conditional use permit CUP 2024-003, a request to operate a recreational vehicle and motorhome painting establishment with a 54 by 18 foot spray booth for Excellence RV, which is located at 609 West Louis Estrada Drive. This is a request for the motorhome painting in the establishment in an existing 7,300 square foot building on the south side of Louis Estrada Drive in the manufacturing zone. The use will include the 54 by 18 foot spray booth. Body and paint shops in this area are subject to a conditional use permit in this zone. We have a staff report, please.
Chairman and Commissioners, Jillian Fountain, Planning Staff. An application for a conditional use permit to operate a recreational vehicle and motorhome painting establishment was submitted to the staff on March 14th, 2024. A public notice was placed in the Press Enterprise, and property owners within 300 feet were notified of this public hearing. No comments have been received to date. The municipal code allows for auto body and paint shops subject to the approval of a conditional use permit. The property is zoned manufacturing and has a general plan land use designation of industrial. The surrounding properties have the similar zoning and land use designation. The site is located within the manufacturing zone, and the site is currently developed with the applicant's existing establishment. The proposed application also includes a 54-foot by 18-foot spray booth. The spray booth will be required to comply with the required building permits and air quality management district permits. The applicant has existing operating hours from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. The project is exempt from CEQA as a Class 1 existing facilities categorical exemption. The required CUP findings can be adequately met and are included in the staff report. At this time, staff recommends that the Planning Commission hold a public hearing and approve conditional use permit 2024-0003, subject to the conditions of approval, and direct the staff to prepare a notice of exemption for the applicant to file with the Riverside County Clerk Recorder. That concludes my presentation. Myself and the planning manager are here for any questions, as well as the business owner.
Thank you. The commission discussion?
So you mentioned existing hours, so they're already in business at this location? And
They are currently coming into compliance.
coming into compliance? Okay. All right, so no the cases are being closed, active business license, so on and so forth?
Yes, so that's all. They've applied for all of those.
Okay.
Presently, if they're in operation, do they have an AQMD permit?
That will be the next step. So when they are going through their certificate of occupancy with the building department, that is when the AQMD process will come in, and AQMD has already been notified with this application as well.
Thank you.
Do we know how long that process, the AQMD, is?
No, I'm not sure. I haven't seen one go through them like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then are there any permits from the city that are needed to be issued for the installation? Any building permits?
Yes, they will need to apply with the building department for the spray booth specifically.
Okay. So as likely as clearing of the building permit, that they would be fully in compliance by that time?
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you.
Any other discussions from the commission? Okay, we'll open this to the public hearing at this point in time.
I don't have any written requests. Rudy, do we have any callers on the line?
I have no callers on the line.
Okay, then we'll close the public hearing at this time, and I'll ask for a motion. Any commissioner willing to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion. Approval of conditional use permit 2024-0003.
And do we have a second?
I will second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the conditional use permit 2024-003, subject to the conditions of approval. We have a vote, please, a roll call vote.
Commissioner Cueva?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chair Southard?
Yes.
Chairman Cooley?
Yes. That moves us to the next item on the agenda, which is a public hearing for specific plan amendment SP 2023-0011, which is a city-initiated request to amend the Oak Valley specific plan to be in conformance with the general plan use designation. So that request is before us. We have the staff report, please.
Yes, Chairman and Commissioners, Katie Jensen, Planning Staff. Staff is bringing forward a city-initiated request to amend the Oak Valley SCPGA specific plan to be in conformance with the general plan land use designation. On October 11, 2023, planning staff brought forward a proposal to amend the land use map in the 2040 general plan. And during the public hearing, Planning Commission, along with City Council on October 17, 2023, directed staff to prepare a specific plan amendment to correct the discrepancy in the Oak Valley SCPGA specific plan, also known as Fairway Canyon. This discrepancy would be Nicholas Park, which is a developed city park that is labeled as commercial in the specific plan and labeled as open space in the general plan land use designation. The specific plan amendment would bring the parcel into conformance with the general plan and continue to be utilized as a city park. An environmental impact report was prepared and certified in 2001 for the Oak Valley SCPGA specific plan, with the latest addendum of the EIR was approved by Council in 2014. From a CEQA standpoint, execution of this amendment will not have any impact on the project that was not previously analyzed, and the overall project continues to be required to adhere to the mitigation monitoring program established for that project. This item was advertised in the Press Enterprise on September 17th, 2023, and staff has received no comments to date. Staff also recommends that Planning Commission hold a public hearing and forward a recommendation of approval to the City Council to amend the Oak Valley SCPGA specific plan. This concludes my presentation, and myself and the Planning Manager are happy to answer any questions.
All right, at this point, I'm requesting if any of the commission has any comments.
My only question would be proximity. What's that proximity to this agenda item on voting or not voting?
You're talking about you as a
Yes.
commission member.
Yes.
So typically it would be in the radius area, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's typically 300 feet.
And you're not within that radius, correct?
It'd be fairly close, but I don't think I'm in that radius.
You can, in a abundance of caution, you can recuse yourself on this item, just in case.
Okay, I'd prefer to do that then.
Okay, that makes sense.
Just for clarification too, I'm also a Fairway Canyon resident, but I think I'm well outside of the 300 feet radius, so.
Fairway Canyon's pretty big. There's a lot of Fairway Canyon
Yeah.
residents.
So Commissioner Cueva, if you recuse, you have to leave the room.
We'll
come
call
get
you back when this item's over.
So this seems pretty straightforward. So a city parcel, city administered request, so that we don't have to work with any of the other stakeholders in the specific plan, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And this already exists, so it's basically just a housekeeping measure. We're not going to do anything different with the park. We're not going to tear it out. So, yeah, it's just a housekeeping.
Just park improvements.
Yeah.
Good change. It's a very good change.
So are there any requests to speak by the public?
If we could officially open the public hearing.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll officially open the public hearing at this time.
I have no requests to speak. Rudy, do we have any callers on the line?
I have no callers on the line.
Okay, then we'll close the public hearing at this time. And I'm asking for a motion.
I'll move to approve as presented.
And I'll second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded, and we'll ask for a roll call vote on this specific plan amendment.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chair Southern?
Yes.
Chairman Cooley?
Yes. Right, this passes. We'll ask Mr. Cueva to come back in. Okay, so then that moves to the next item, which is a public hearing for specific plan amendment SP 2023-0010. City initiated a request to amend the Heartland specific plan to be in conformance with the general land use designation. We want to bring this into compliance with the underlying general plan. We have a staff report, please.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Carol Kendrick, Planning Staff. This is going to sound very much like Ms. Jensen's report. This staff is bringing this forward as a city-initiated request to amend the Heartland specific plan to bring it into conformance with the general plan. On October 11, 2023, staff brought forward a proposal to amend the land use map in the 2040 general plan. And during the public hearing process, Planning Commission and the City Council on October 17th, 2023 directed staff to prepare a specific plan amendment and correct the discrepancy in the Heartland specific plan, also known as Olivewood. The discrepancy would be within planning area 11 of the Heartland specific plan that identifies the area as industrial, but is labeled as open space in our general plan land use designation map. This planning area is part of the San Timateo Creek, and it is within multi-species habitat conservation plan criteria cells and is not viable for development. The specific plan amendment would bring the parcel into conformance so that the site can be undisturbed to remain for habitat and to protect the San Mateo Creek. An environmental impact report was prepared and certified in 1994 for the Heartland specific plan. From a CEQA standpoint, execution of this amendment will not have any impact on the project that was not previously analyzed, and the overall project continues to be required to adhere to the mitigation monitoring program established for the project. This item was advertised in the press enterprise on April 23rd, 2024, and staff has received no comments to date. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission hold a public hearing and forward a recommendation of approval to the City Council to amend the Heartland specific plan. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any commission discussion?
I have a couple questions. So the same thing, this is a city-owned parcel at this point, or is this still owned by the developer?
It's owned by the developer. We did get property owner authorization before moving forward on this. So they were in agreement that this was not viable for development, so they
It's
supported.
interesting to see that someone thought it was.
So yeah, this one was a little different because we didn't own the parcel, but we do have property owner authorization from the property owner.
What about the other two parcels, one on Potrero and the kind of diagonal one? Are those included with this? I'm looking at the zoning map, or what do you have?
So it shows up as one parcel. It includes that, so I don't know what the
Okay.
little cutout is.
Okay. All right, so it is that entire northern piece.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's pretty clear that there's no plans to develop it currently
no,
because it
no,
just
it-
isn't going to be viable.
No, it's established for habitat
Right.
and the creek.
Right. Any other commission comments? Okay, so then we'll open it for public hearing at this time.
I have no written request. Rudy, do we have any callers on the line?
I have no callers on the line.
Okay, then we'll close the public hearing at this time, and I'll ask for a motion to forward a recommendation of approval to the city council to amend the Heartland specific plan. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to forward a recommendation of approval to the city council to amend the Heartland specific plan.
And do we have a second?
I'll go ahead and second.
Okay, we have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Cueva?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chair Southern?
Yes.
Chairman Cooley?
Yes.
Mr. Cooley, I think your mic is off again.
I'm sorry. Okay, that moves us to the next item, which is a public hearing for Beaumont Village. Tentative parcel map 374. I did, I skipped one, okay. I am so sorry. Okay, moves us to the public hearing for conditional use permit, CUP 2024-002 for a request for an ABC Type 47 on-sale general eating place for beer, wine, and distilled spirits at 762 and 766 Beaumont Avenue, APN 418072-002. So this is the existing restaurant Toscano's Pizza and Pasta, and it's located at 762 and 766, but it is a single business operating there. Do we have a staff report, please?
Hello again, Chairman and Commissioners. An application for a conditional use permit for Type 47 on-sale general eating place for beer, wine, and distilled spirits at an existing restaurant, Toscano's Pizza and Pasta, was submitted to the city on March 14, 2024. A public notice was placed in the press enterprise on April 23, 2024, and property owners within 300 feet were notified of this public hearing. No comments have been received. The municipal code allows alcohol sales subject to a CUP. The applicant's previous ABC license was for a Type 41 and did not include distilled spirits. Any new ABC license or change of license is required to go through a CUP process. The property is zoned downtown mixed use and has a general plan land use designation of downtown mixed use. The surrounding properties have the similar zoning and land use designation, aside from the single-family residential to the east. The site is located within the downtown mixed use, and the site is currently developed with the applicant's existing restaurant. The applicant has existing operating hours from 10 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday and Saturday. Located within the Census Tract 440, which allows one on-sale license based on the current population ratios. There are currently 12 on-sale licenses that are issued in the Census Tract. The current ABC license request will be replacing the existing Toscano's license, therefore not adding any new licenses to the tract. ABC also recommends the separation requirements of 600 feet from sensitive uses. The use is located about 392 feet from the closest sensitive use, which is the Beaumont Presbyterian Church. ABC will also not license a new retail location within 100 feet of a residence unless the applicant can demonstrate that the use will not interfere with the resident's enjoyment of their property. The site is less than 100 feet from the closest residence. The applicant has provided that they have established the operation of the proposed premises will not interfere with the quiet enjoyment of the properties by the residents, as indicated in the applicant's submittal letter in the staff report. The project is exempt from CEQA as a Class 1 existing facility, a categorical exemption. The required CUP findings can be adequately met and are included in the staff report. Since the time of publication of the staff report, the business owner and city staff have worked through the outstanding code violations that were presented in the staff report, and city staff has confirmed with each department that the applicant has complied or is working with the city to come into compliance. At this time, the staff recommends that the Planning Commission hold a public hearing and approve CUP 2024-0002, subject to the conditions of approval, and direct staff to prepare a notice of exemption from the applicant to file with the Riverside County Clerk Recorder. That concludes my presentation. Myself and my planning manager can answer any questions, and the business owner is here as well.
Thank you. Any commission discussion?
So you mentioned that they are coming into compliance as well, same as the previous business? Or the previous item on the agenda, they were coming into compliance for look at the approval?
This is, they're just switching. So right now they have the type 41. So
Well,
they're
no,
gonna-
for the code cases and
Oh, yes,
everything
they are
else, and-
coming into compliance with their code
Okay.
cases.
All right,
They have worked with the building department and the business licensing, and the code outstanding item is being worked on.
okay.
Is there an ETA, I'm sorry to interrupt, is there an ETA on those corrections?
We don't have an ETA. We did meet with the property owners today. They are looking at options, so they might be able to address that further once the public hearing is opened.
Okay. Any other comments by the commission?
The comment on there about 100 foot of a residence, have there been any previous complaints about the business owner from any of the residences related to their operation?
We checked with PD and no calls have been made.
Okay.
Okay. All right, then I'll open the public hearing at this time.
I have no written requests to speak. As the applicant, did you want to answer questions?
I do have a question for applicant as well, so.
One of the code violations that we have is there's a oil container in the back that it needs to have, basically like you would have underneath a washer. You'd have that pan to catch the overflow if you backed up your washer. We don't have one right now. I went to purchase one. They don't have one that fits this specific oil container that we put our grease in from our deep fryer. Then we have a company called JC Grease that comes out. They collect the grease. And right now I don't have anything underneath it. I went to buy one and it didn't fit. So I called JC Grease to try to help them for them to help me find something I could put underneath so that we can gather this grease in an event that it was to overflow, that has a lid on it. It's not likely, but I understand that it's code. We just recently learned this, so we're doing what we need to do to address the issue. That's it.
I have a question for you on your site plan. I can't find the site plan. So where the bar is located, you know, I'm very familiar with the front lobby from takeout, but I haven't often walked back to where the restroom is. You know, the bar, is it back in the kitchen area that's going to be served out and around, or is it going to be exposed to customers who will be able to order at a bar?
Yes, you'll be able to order at the bar as
To be
well.
able, and is there any construction that's required to, you know, to build the bar, or is everything in the building already in place?
It's in place.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not going to be any internal change.
Okay, it's in place. I was there today, and it looks like construction is underway. The bar is not built yet, is it?
No, but where, I'm trying to answer that question to the best of my
And I'm
knowledge.
probably not stating very clearly, so
Yeah.
apologies.
So what I'm saying is that the way the service is going to work is it's going to come, the people are going to come around and they can order a beverage there, okay, and sit there, okay?
Okay,
And then that person that's working that area, they will be in that area only. They don't have a way to get out of there. They'd have to go around as well,
okay.
okay? I guess
So-
that answers your question? Or is it-
Also, I think their question is that they have pulled the permits for that bar that you have seen.
That was gonna be my next
Yes.
question.
They
Okay.
do have the permits with the building department, so they've gone through that. That was one of the outstanding items, and they are in compliance with having that permit to continue that work.
Okay. And how long is the process with ABC? When do you expect that you would be able to get the change in license?
My understanding is it's done. Like we're already approved, we've already paid, everything's all good to go.
Okay.
And then
That's my
ABC
under-
just waits for our
Right.
approval.
That's my understanding at this point.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Yes, Nicole, we have somebody in the back that has a comment.
State your name.
Hello, my name is Kayla Schmidt, and I and my mom own Players Lounge, which is right next door to Toscano's. We currently have a 48 full liquor license. We are a bar only, we do not serve food. Our location predates a lot of the new ordinances that have come into effect in Beaumont, but I do know that there is a 600-foot boundary that is supposed to be an ordinance for proximity to a school or children. There is a preschool 578 feet from Toscano's. There is also the dance spectrum that operates throughout the year. Our location is all indoor. There is no patio area. Our patrons are not allowed to meander outside because of the kids. Our concerns for them getting a full liquor license stem from mostly their inability to keep their minor employees from entering our establishment for deliveries. We had to have conversations with them about, because we are 21 and over, nobody can come in. We also had issues with their patrons leaving their front door with a full glass of beer and walking into our front door with it. So we have some issues with them getting a full liquor license because it could endanger ours. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
So, if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is you have some concern because there are a lot of children
There are, yes.
within that 600 feet. And is it their customers, children who are walking into your place, or is it their employees?
It is
I
their
wasn't
employees.
sure. Their employees. And is there a reason for their employees to be coming into your establishment?
So on some occasions in the beginning, they came in delivering food to our patrons who had gone over and ordered food. And we had to tell them that you guys can't send underage people in, even if it is a delivery, it just can't happen. So we had to cut that off completely because they could not comply. The other part of not being able to maintain the boundaries with their customers, a lot of that has to do with their training of their staff. You cannot take a full glass of beer outside. You just can't. And then for them to walk into our front door with it and say, oh, they told us we could bring it over here. We're just it's hard to want to support something like this when they can't comply with their beer and wine regulations. And then to add hard liquor into it is going to be very problematic for our area.
Question. When these incidents have occurred, have you notified the police department?
No, we try to, work with them and have them correct. They were still new to the area, but we don't receive much help, and we get a lot of opposition from that side. So we have had to resort to just making sure that nobody comes in from there. We also have had an issue where their bathroom has been down, and they send people with children into our place to have them try and use our bathroom. So we're just, it's the minors and the outside beverages and all that kind of stuff. We have to maintain our license and our livelihood, and we need them to be able to do the same.
So you're doing your diligence as required by your license and
Yes.
saying, do not enter into my, right.
Absolutely. And we have to maintain the entire front door and back door area that is regulated by ABC. We have to keep that clean, maintained, and all of that. And that's part of their issue as well. They're not doing that either. So
Any other comments from the commission for this?
Quick one. When was the most recent event?
3 weeks ago? About 3 weeks ago.
That it? No questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any,
Do I get to speak again?
Up to your discretion.
Okay. What's that? Oh, sorry. My name is Christopher Sims. Okay, so I'd like to defend myself in a couple of the issues that she's brought up, okay? Number one, I don't see how, I'm at that business, and these people, they're ordering Domino's Pizza in, they're ordering DoorDash in, they're ordering all kinds of delivery services into the business. I see them all day going in there. And I don't care, whatever, they can do whatever they want. We don't care. But I'm pretty sure a lot of those kids are under 21 years old, okay? So it's not really like we're a big-time offender here. We have a working relationship within the business. In the beginning of the business, it went sour. And there's been a lot of things that they brought up that have been very minor. And we've done what we can to fix them. We have a big trash problem. The people that were there prior to us didn't do as much business. We do a lot of business. So we're working with the landlord, getting more drops for the trash, getting a cardboard pickup, that kind of thing. And we're trying to rectify some of the trash issues that she spoke about. But as far as like my employees going in there, I mean, most of my employees are over 21 years old. I do have some minors that work for me. If they're going in there, it is not with me knowing about it. None of us know about it. It's something they're doing, and if they're allowing that, it's nothing that I'm encouraging minors to go into their business, just so you know. And that's all I have to say.
thank you. We don't really want to mediate a issue between the two of you, but we do want to be aware of what's going on. The question I would have for both of you is Toscano's expecting a significant increase in sales because of the hard liquor? And our other speaker, do you anticipate a decrease in your sales? Is that part of what's driving this?
No. No, it really has to do with possible violations and, you know, strikes on an ABC license can't, it's. We're recording. Oh, okay. Sorry. The personal issues that he nothing to do with our concerns. Our concerns have to do with what happens when ABC comes in because there's minors, because this has happened. We cannot have strikes on our license. I can't have that happen. It's not one issue, it's multiple. It's not one time, it's multiple. They've been there, you know, over a year, and we've had incidences consistently. So it's not, has nothing to do with a soured business relationship. It has to do with protecting our business and our license. We've been there 21 years in June. The possibility of it continuing to be a running issue is just what we're talking about. Like we just can't have the minors and the outside beverages. Like it just can't happen.
But when it comes to your license, and if you're enforcing minors aren't allowed, DoorDash is turned away if it's a minor, you know, all these things, then what action would ABC have?
You'd be surprised as to what ABC expects us to regulate. If for some possible reason we didn't happen to see them walk in the door and ABC walks in behind them and now I've got a minor in there, but they're one of theirs or, you know, whatever, we do our best to police as much as we can. But like I said, when it becomes like a habitual thing, and even though we've tried to talk through it and we didn't get the police involved and all of that, it just becomes a conflict that could possibly end up being an ABC issue.
But to date, you've not had any action by ABC or any warning.
We have not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Staff, do we have any recorded complaints or any history that the city or the PD is aware of this occurring?
No, we have not been provided any documentation.
Thank you. Any other comments from the commissioners?
I have some questions for staff after the public hearing is closed.
Okay, so at this point in time, we will close the public hearing.
I'm sorry, I just want to check with the phone line really quick, just because some time had lapsed.
Sorry.
Rudy, do we have any callers on the line for this item?
I have no callers on the line.
And now we'll close the public hearing. And Mr. Smith?
So the license type that we have does not permit off-site consumption. It must be on-site consumption for hard alcohol.
That is correct.
And there's no authorization for outdoor dining with this restaurant or any kind of patio use for this restaurant.
Currently, no.
So it's not part of an application or a plan or
We
anything
do not
that's
have
been
any
brought to your
submittals for
attention.
that.
Okay. In the event that there is a ABC violation, is the entire license revoked or would it revert back to what a previous license was? Do we know what that process is? It's not our agency, so.
Right, we don't know that process.
The current license that they have, I believe they are going to be closing, and then they're applying for the 47. So I don't know if that would revert back to previous or not.
No,
Good.
I'm making an assumption, but I'm assuming that the state requirement requires them to post that the hard alcohol and beer, whatever, cannot be taken out, and I'm assuming that Toscano's does or intends to have that publication to their customers. Okay?
So I know with other cases we've had on other matters, you know, the condition 12 does state in here that after 12 months of operation, that it may, at the discretion of the community development director, be scheduled for review by planning commission, and we shall retain the authority to amend conditions at such time. You know, is there a possibility to look at modifying that condition that would say after 6 months that it could be brought back at the discretion of the community development director if there are continued issues?
We can make that modification, and we can also add a condition in saying that they have to provide signage as required by ABC, just to kind of catch that as well.
Okay. Now, I mean, I want businesses to be successful, but we need businesses all to kind of follow the rules and not jeopardize other businesses are the same. So if everybody is, following what they should be doing, then we should be able to move forward. So I would offer to the commission that, we could, you're able to give the establishment period, and then if there are continued problems, it could be brought back for reconsideration.
Yeah, I would support the addition of those conditions.
I do have one question, though. So if we give them the 6 months, who is the one or what department is going to be monitoring that to make sure that they're in conformance?
Well, planning, we could set a reminder, and then what we would do is check with the police department to see if there's been any calls for service.
And then ABC, if there's been any
Yep.
issues there.
And actually, condition 16 does say all signage developed in conformance with the zoning ordinance of the Beaumont Municipal Code and alcohol beverage control requirements. So there is a condition saying they do need to provide signage based on ABC's guidelines.
Okay. Yes, and if both establishments are doing their part, then it's very difficult to control every single customer all of the time. And I would expect that there are going to be situations where a customer ignores the signs, both sides. A minor tries to come into the bar, a customer tries to walk in. I don't think that anybody can 100% guarantee that that will never happen, but I think we've had assurances that both are trying to do what's required.
There's a level of diligence that's.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. All right, so we have any more comments from the commissioner? All right, so then I'm looking for a motion.
I would make the motion to approve with the modification to condition 13, that after 6 months of operation, or change 12 months to 6 months. And have planning staff check in 6 months.
And I'll second.
Okay, have a roll call vote then?
Commissioner Cueva?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chair Southard?
Yes.
Chairman Cooley?
Yes. Okay, now we can actually move on to the other one, which is on the agenda as C8. Which is the public hearing on Beaumont Village. Tentative parcel map 37440, PM 2019-006, plot plan PP 2019-0222, conditional use permits, CUP 2017-0010, and CUP 2019-0037, and CUP 2019-0038 in the Mitigated Negative Declaration and Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program, ENV 2019-0010, which essentially is a request for a plot plan to construct and operate a plot plan for a commercial shopping center with 7 buildings totaling 42,897 square feet, including the fuel canopy and comprising of an 18,000 square foot retail anchor building, 4 quick-serve drive-through restaurants, and 3,562 square feet of attached retail to 1 QSR, a car wash, and a gas station, 3,130 square feet convenience store with a Type 20 ABC license. The applicant is also requesting a sign program and to subdivide 12.39 acres into 7 parcels and 1 remainder parcel located on the northwest corner of Oak Valley Parkway and Beaumont Avenue in the commercial neighborhood zone, APN 404-190-001 and 404-190-003. Obviously, this has been around for a while, and there's a lot of reports and a lot of documents. But we'll ask for a staff report, and hopefully that'll make this easier to understand.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. I also appreciate we're on our last item, which I think is probably one of the heaviest agendas we've had at this time. So this is for the Beaumont Village project that's located on the northwest corner of Oak Valley Parkway and Beaumont Avenue. It does include a plot plan, 3 conditional use permits, a tentative parcel map, and a sign program included with the environmental, which is a mitigated negative declaration. The project is for a proposed gas station, convenience store with alcohol sales, a drive-through car wash. These projects were submitted on July 30th, 2019. The application was submitted by an applicant. This is not a city-sponsored project. Public notice was placed in the press enterprise, and property owners within 300 feet were notified of the public hearing on March 4th, 2024, with a public hearing date of April 10th. Due to a lack of quorum on April 10th, the item was moved to the next Planning Commission meeting, which is tonight. Staff has not received any phone calls and has received one comment from the public regarding the proposed project. The comment letter is provided as attachment K to the staff report. The municipal code allows gas stations, convenience stores, alcohol sales, and drive-through car washes and drive-through uses in the commercial neighborhood zone subject to a conditional use permit. The property is zoned commercial neighborhood and has a current general plan of neighborhood commercial. The property has commercial neighborhood zoned property and neighborhood commercial zone, designated properties to the south and east. It has single-family residential zoning and residential single-family land use designation to the north and south, and has residential multifamily zoning and a high-density residential general plan land use designation to the west. The site is 2.39 acres, consisting of 2 parcels, and is currently vacant and is unimproved with the exception of some asphalt curb, sidewalk, and decorative light standards on Oak Valley Parkway. The project is proposing 8 parcels under the tentative parcel map. Parcel 1 will include a 2,600 square foot drive-through restaurant. Parcel 2 is a 7,362 square foot multi-tenant restaurant and retail with a drive-through. Parcel 3 is a 3,130 square foot convenience store with 6 fueling islands. Parcel 4 is a 2,800 square foot drive-through restaurant. Parcel 5 is a 3,605 square foot drive-through car wash. Parcel 6 is a 2,304 square foot drive-through restaurant. And parcel 7 is the anchor parcel with a 18,000 square foot building. For the 7 parcels, that acreage is 7.6 acres. The remainder parcel, parcel 8, will be a remainder and will be undeveloped. The project proposes a layout of 3 freestanding fast food drive-through restaurants and a multi-tenant building for other small restaurants and retail uses with a drive-through on the cap. A car wash that uses a water recycling program, and a 6-island 12-fuel dispenser fueling station with a convenience store. The freestanding drive-throughs will require a separate conditional use permit. Currently, the conditional use permits, we have 2 for 7-Eleven. One is for the fueling station and the other is for their ABC license. The remaining conditional use permit with the 2017 number will be for the car wash pad. And the applicant has indicated that we'll be getting some conditional use permits submitted soon on the other parcels. The project is designed with the gasoline service station on the southeast corner of the subject property and the drive-through uses located along the frontages of Oak Valley Parkway and Beaumont Avenue. The anchor building is on the west side of the proposed remainder parcel and is proposed as phase 2 of the project. The project also includes 4 retention basins along the Oak Valley Parkway frontage. The project as proposed will provide 4 driveways. Driveway 1 is located on Beaumont Avenue that will require a traffic signal across from the Stater Brothers Shopping Center to the east and will provide full turning movements. Project 2 is located north of Driveway 1 on Beaumont Avenue, and it will be limited to right in, right out access only. The project driveways on Oak Valley Parkway include project driveway number 3, which is located between buildings 5 and 6 and will provide full turning movements, while project driveway 4 is located closer to Beaumont Avenue in between buildings 3 and 4, and that will be limited to right in, right out turning movements only. The project site is required to provide 243 parking spaces and has accommodated 258 parking spaces. The project as proposed is also meeting the minimum vehicle stacking requirements for buildings 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. The applicant is proposing the sale of alcohol in the proposed convenience store with an off-sale type 20, which is beer and wine only. According to ABC, the three off-sale licenses are allowed in Census Tract 438.07 based on the current population ratios, and currently there are 3 off-sale licenses issued to Stater Brothers, Walgreens, and Cherry Valley Liquor. Not sure, Walgreens hasn't been there a while, but it still showed up on the report. So therefore, a public convenience and necessity determination will be required. Project does have a sign program. As proposed, it includes design guidelines for all on-site signage for the Beaumont Village Shopping Center. The monument sign is proposed on the southeast corner of the subject site. It's 22 feet in length, 4 feet in height, with 1 2x4 tenant panel and 6 2x2 tenant panels. The signage is designed with materials that are established in the design guidelines that are established for the project that include specific materials requested by the applicant. There are 2 freestanding pylon signs that are proposed with an overall height of 16 feet 18 inches with a width of 11 feet 6 inches that includes 7 tenant signs. The major tenant panel is 36 inches by 108 inches, and 6 smaller tenant signs are at 2 by 3 feet tenant panels and are located below the major tenant panel. The pylon sign is supported by 2 columns with red brick veneers at the base with a cornice between the transition and the top of the column. The pylon signs are located at both full turning movement driveways on Beaumont Avenue and Oak Valley Parkway. 7-Eleven also has a double-faced illuminated monument gas price sign. The overall height is 72 inches. The base is 27 inches in height. And the cabinet above the fueling price signs includes the 7-Eleven identification. The fuel sign is located on the easterly driveway on Oak Valley Parkway. Wall signage for shop tenants will be limited to 36 inches in height with 1 square foot of signage per lineal feet of the lease area per elevation. Pad tenants are limited to 36 inches in height with 1.5 square feet of signage per lineal foot of lease area. The gas station and convenience store are proposing a 24-hour operation. The car wash will have limited hours between 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Due to the scope of the project, a draft initial study and mitigated negative declaration were prepared and circulated for a 30-day public review period from March 4th, 2024 to April 4th, 2024. 4 comment letters were received during the comment period. The comment letters were from, and hopefully I don't butcher this, the Yuhavitam of the San Manuel Nation, the Rincon Band of Listeño Indians, and the Riverside Transit Agency stating that they had no comment on the project. We did also receive a letter from Riverside County Flood Control and Water District that indicated if any improvements were made to Marshall Creek, the applicant would be required to enter into a cooperative agreement with the Riverside County Flood Control and Water District. The comment letters are provided as attachment J to the staff report. The required plot plan and conditional use permit findings can be adequately met in the staff report. And I just wanted to go over a couple of housekeeping items. So on the staff report on, it's page 127 of the packet in site design. So it says holding in the second sentence. It says Holdings LLC. So when this project moves forward to City Council, we'll be adding in Santiago ahead of that. And then in the environmental documentation, on page 132, where we're discussing the Riverside County Flood Control letter, we are going to add language that if improvements are to be made, that they would enter into this agreement. We do have confirmation from the Flood Control District. Also, on condition number 21, we'll be updating for City Council. That is, prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, all landscaping shall be installed and irrigation shall be operational. We're going to add language that makes sure that that's just applying to each parcel as they come in and not the entire center. And that concludes my housekeeping items. So at this time, staff would recommend that the Planning Commission hold a public hearing and that the Planning Commission forward a recommendation to the City Council to adopt a mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for ENV 2019-0010 and to approve plot plan 2019-000222, conditional use permit 2017-0010, conditional use permit 2019-0037, and 0038, and then parcel map 2019-006, and a sign program as Plan 2022. See, I put too many numbers on my, it's $791. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. We do have the applicant and some of his team here, and then I believe we do have some of his team on the phone that can answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Commission discussion.
Okay, so I am looking at the tentative track map here, and I understand that it backs up to this existing channel. My question is, in looking at the contour lines, what is the applicant doing to prevent an accidental discharge into that area? Because it looks like, as I'm looking at the contour lines, it's going down.
Well, I know the applicant has reduced the project and moved that project further away from the creek, and so they haven't identified a tenant for the major anchor, but they are trying to completely avoid any kind of impacts to the creek.
Okay. Will that also how do they take into account pedestrian traffic? I know that, something will be there eventually. Will pedestrian traffic, unintentional, go through that creek at a future, and what would they be doing? What steps would they be doing to mitigate that possibility?
Would that be addressed more when the individual tenants come in and request?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's something that we can condition the project to provide barriers to prevent pedestrian traffic from entering from the creek.
Thank you.
So yeah, it looks like on I think this is the grading plan, plot plan. The tube steel fence is proposed around the outer limits of the property, or adjacent to the creek, all the way around.
Any other comments?
This is a lot of drive-throughs. 5 drive-throughs on one parcel, is there any, that's consistent with what we have for zoning ordinance and development goals?
Well, so this project was submitted in 2019 prior to the adoption of our general plan update and the changes to the zoning code that occurred because of that. Mm-hmm. In the current zoning code, it does require separations from drive-through uses, but this project is under the previous rules, which does not have that separation requirement.
Okay. Say everything I hear in the community, they want places to eat, yes, but it's not drive-throughs that we're necessarily looking for. But understand that the code that it was submitted on is the code that they are held to. Have there been any other iterations of this plan? You know, I know one of the concerns I have is, you know, this being a major crossroads in the community. You know, we've got, you know, albeit it's set back a little bit, you have Walgreens, it's building, you have the vet that's building, parking's kind of back behind. And here we'd be looking to put at a very prominent corner a fueling canopy. You know, there've been alternate designs that reconfigured portions of the site that were presented to you guys at any point?
We have seen several variations. There have been site plans submitted without the anchor tenant, but that's really the only change that we've seen. So the applicant did add that back in. But, you know, that was based on concerns regarding the creek and being, you know, doing a total avoidance.
Okay. I know I've made comments before when you're looking at all these gas stations that are coming by that was trying to keep them near the freeway. You know, but again, the code that they would have submitted under would dictate and allow for this to occur, even though it's not consistent now.
That is correct.
Yeah, just echoing on Commissioner Smith's question regarding the drive-throughs on the site. I know that some of those drive-throughs can attract more customers than others, and you run into some stacking issues. Is there any concerns from staff on potential impacts if there's, say, an In-N-Out or a Chick-fil-A and drives a lot of traffic on site?
Well, so the only conditional use permits that we're considering tonight are 7-Eleven and the car wash. So any future quick service restaurant with a drive-through that comes in is going to have to do a conditional use permit. That tenant would be identified at that time. I know that we closely look at, you know, the user, typically if it's a coffee user or a high volume, like a Chick-fil-A or In-N-Out, we definitely look at, you know, we want to make sure that there's no stacking into the street or no impacts. And we can ask for a stacking study. We've done that on some other coffee projects. So that's something that we could analyze once we find out who the new tenant is, and that would be submitted under a conditional use permit.
Any other comments?
The driveway on Oak Valley, you know, morning being peak coffee time, also peak take your kids to school time, and the fact that both middle schools are on the same road, that left turn backs up very significantly. I have concerns with the left turn coming out of the site onto Oak Valley, you know, especially with the median is proposed on there. That's going to be backed up. Was that analyzed as part of a queuing analysis for peak hour? Is there a problem, or should we consider making that a right turn out only?
So staff had the same concerns. We requested that their traffic engineer perform a turning movement analysis for that exact driveway, and it's in the TIA for reference. And the results indicated that it had very minimal impact on both the eastbound and westbound traffic.
Okay, other comments? I have questions for the developer, but we'll deal with that when we come to the open public hearing. Any other comments, or are we ready to move on to that?
Possibly more, depending on how it goes with public comment, so.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm in the same boat. Okay, then I'll open for the public hearing at this time. And are there any requests to speak?
I have no written requests, but I'll check with Rudy on the line. Rudy, do we have new callers?
I have 2 applicants on the line.
Would you like to? Well, I'll send them through. I have a feeling they're here just to answer questions, but I'll send each one through. Rudy, go ahead and send the first caller through. Caller, can you hear us? Caller, can you hear us?
I can, thank you. I'm sorry. I just got transferred over.
Okay, you're on with Planning Commission. Go right ahead.
What was the question? I'm sorry. Was there a question specific to the?
So who is this?
I'm sorry. My name is Van Shannon, and I'm not the developer, but I am representing Quick Quack Car Wash. If there's any specific questions to our development or our project, I would be happy to help you with those questions.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, that clarifies that. And perhaps we can just get the input from the developer first, and if you just hang on to see if we have any questions specific to the car wash. And
Thank you, and I could definitely speak to the queuing for our car wash. We're a little different than a QSR, if that's helpful when we get to that.
Okay. And the other caller on the line, is it the same type situation?
I believe it's a representative of the environmental.
Okay. So then I think we should move to the developer and hold the two callers to see if there are specific questions or they have comments after the developer's presented his issues.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Ari Miller. I'm the manager of the applicant, Santiago Holdings, which is our family trust. I'm happy to present the project to you tonight. We've been working closely with staff for many years. Carol and I it's been about 6 or 7 years we've been working on the project. It has been redesigned several times. We added the anchor tenant and redesigned all the plans and all the studies based on the revised project with the anchor tenant at the city's request. We designed the project to create a remainder parcel behind the shopping center, which is going to remain undeveloped as a natural barrier between the shopping center and the creek. So that's what the remainder parcel is. The project, it meets the zoning. It complies with the zoning. It complies with the general plan. There's a large shopping center behind it. This area of the city in the north is really underserviced. There's not been a lot of retail development in this part of the city, and the city could use this. The residents and businesses could use more retail services. There really not much has been built since the Stater Brothers Shopping Center came in, and I believe that's been over 20 years ago, approximately. Especially with the COVID pandemic, a lot of the restaurants nowadays like to have a drive-through just in case, and to reduce volume of their indoor dining. Parcel 1 is the QSR. Parcel 2 has a drive-through, but it's really designed to be a multi-tenant building with a nice outdoor seating area in front of it with several rows of seats so that people can eat indoors or outdoors, and that outdoor area is landscaped and upgraded. In terms of the design of the project, we based it off some of the old historic buildings in Redlands on Orange Street that has some of the brick and tile. And then we added on to that some contemporary designs like metal awnings and gooseneck lighting so that it would have both the historic and contemporary feel. We worked with planning department to create a design guideline for the center and a sign program for the center to make it, to ensure that over time it remains a cohesive shopping center, cohesive from a planning and architectural viewpoint. And we're exceeding parking. We're not asking for any variances. It's a by right project in that respect. Today, with me our civil engineer in case you have any specific questions that relate to civil engineering. We have the representative from 7-Eleven that is signed up to be the gas station for the project. The car wash, the tenant is Quick Quack, and you heard briefly from Vance Shannon, who's the director at Quick Quack, who's participating remotely in case you have any questions from him. And we also have Cheryl Tubbs from Lilburn, who's our consultant that did the initial study. And just to touch on Commissioner Cueva's question about drainage, the shopping center is designed so that the drainage runs towards Oak Valley away from the creek. So there'd be no way that that the project could drain onto the creek. And then regarding the creek, the shopping center was designed with a gate or fencing all around the back of it, so there'd be no way for people to come into the shopping center and then just walk over the remainder parcel into the creek. So we've segregated that off from pedestrian access. So I look forward to answering any questions you may have, and we look forward to eventually getting through this process and being a part of the business community in Beaumont. Thank you.
Questions?
So I mentioned in my comments earlier, I think one of the things that gives me a lot of heartburn is the fueling station at the corner. It seems that with this site plan, they could parcel 3 and 2 could almost be flipped and get something that's a little bit more of an architectural piece at the corner and set the fueling station back a little bit. Is there any consideration, for that? Just, my concern is obviously as California, we'll see if it happens, moves more and more towards electric, that we're going to be left with something that may not be very usable at that point. If there was a building there, the building is much more likely to be able to, I think kind of be a feature of the intersection, versus something else.
Well, as a practical matter, if you look around virtually, every city, gas stations need to be on the corners. That way they can get traffic from both streets. So it's rare that you find a gas station that's not on a corner. I'll let 7-Eleven speak to that, but I would guess that they would probably walk away from the project if they couldn't go on the corner. The 7-Eleven, from our perspective, it's a ground lease, so if 7-Eleven were to leave at some point, we would be able to redevelop something else on the parcel in the future. So I can't really speculate on what happens if we go to 90% electrical vehicles in 20 years, what'll happen, but I would assume we would redevelop the property with another use on the corner. It's the most desirable part of the shopping center because it does get the visibility and traffic from both corners. So we've done that in the past. We've developed many old gas stations, redeveloped old gas stations that have gone out, with future uses.
Could maybe the fueling island then be flipped with a convenience store?
I'll let 7-Eleven speak to that.
Okay.
I don't know if they, if they
Yeah,
would-
just,
Yeah.
it's a very busy corner. It's kind of a highlight corner, 2 major streets, and I'm not sure that the gas canopy is, what's going to be a long-term desirable feel for that intersection. So I do have some heartburn with
Right,
that.
yeah. It's a double-edged sword. At least it leaves open space, a view corridor going through it. If there's a building right on the corner, then it sort of blocks the rest of the center off visibility from the corner.
All of your drive-throughs run counter to where traffic is going to be on the other roads, on Oak Valley and on Beaumont Avenue. I see there are some retaining walls that we have around there. Like for parcel 2, is that building higher or lower than Beaumont Avenue? That maybe your engineer might have
Yeah,
that
I'll
offhand.
I'll defer to Patrick Flanagan, our civil engineer, on that.
Because what I've generally asked, and you see this over on Second Street, is where we do have drive-through lanes where the headlights at night are going to be counter what the driving is, that seat walls or thicker landscaping or something be included on there to help to screen that, so it's not a visual obstruction to the driver. So it's not you can't have it there, but have some kind of site design feature that until you're actually running parallel and not making that turn into them.
Right. In this
it just
case,
screens the lighting a little bit.
in this case, we're lower, and there is a retaining wall with landscaping going
Yeah.
up to Beaumont, so
Quick
so
Back
it
would
would
have
be, it
this
would be
as well.
screened.
As you're making that turn into the dual lane on Quick Back, if there was shrubbery or there was some landscaping feature, little site wall, monument wall, whatever it might be, just screen the headlights at that point.
Okay.
That's something that I've asked for on other developments throughout the city
Sure.
where they've had the drive-throughs run counter.
That's reasonable. I think I don't see why we wouldn't be able to accommodate that in the landscape plan.
For the retail pad, for an 18,000 square foot building, who are typical users that would occupy that kind of a space?
That was designed for users like Trader Joe's or Aldi or Sprouts small format. Other users are like Beverages and More or possibly fitness clubs are all in that general 18 to 20,000 square foot range.
Okay.
Yeah. And on parcel 2, the restaurant component there is more of the type of restaurant would be something like Panera Bread or Chipotle or Starbucks that have a lot of indoor dining and use a drive-through to supplement it. And I should say parcel 4, parcel 4 on Oak Valley, we've signed a lease with Farmer Boys that's the tenant that's proposed for that, although it's not applicable tonight because they would have to come back for a CUP under a separate CUP application, a separate hearing. I just wanted to let the commission know that's the other tenant that we have for the project so far.
Okay, so what building is that?
That's building 4.
My question is, I see these patios, and you stress that these aren't thought to be or designed to be straight drive-throughs, but the people come in and they'd sit on the patios. But every one of these patios is adjacent to the queue going through the drive-through. I don't see that being a pleasant place to sit and eat with all those cars idling for long periods of time to get through the drive-through. How are you mitigating that to make those acceptable to diners?
Yeah, thank you for your question. When I was speaking about the outdoor dining, it was really pertaining more to parcel 2, which will is designed to have several restaurants and retail. And in front of it, there's a large patio in front of the area. I believe it may be 50 or 60 feet. I don't have it taken in memory, but it's enough to have several rows of dining, and that's what I was referring to. The QSRs on parcels 1, 4, and 6 would just have the standard outdoor patio dining that those QSR restaurants typically have, but parcel 2 would have a upgraded, large, enhanced, nice outdoor dining area with balcony and lights and landscaping.
And you don't have any tenants signed, or that's not part of the application tonight for CUPs, would be to construct that building?
We stopped the marketing on the project because we had a lot of issues to get through with the city, and there was a water moratorium until just the last year or so. So the tenants we have signed leases with us several years ago, and at a certain point, we decided we better wait until we could resolve the water moratorium issues and work with planning on everything else to get the entitlements approved.
For public access points, there's going to be a significant number of kids that are walking down this way. Especially if it's going to be quick service, fast food, right? I'm not seeing a lot of public access from Beaumont Avenue into the site. So my concern is that middle schoolers and high schoolers, they're just going to start walking down the roadways, the aisleways. So is there a way to add more connections from Beaumont Avenue into the site?
That I don't know off the top of my head, but I believe we must have some access from Beaumont for ADA path of travel.
There's an access point to the convenience store. It's a ramp doubles back along the edge of the parking lot. I'm guessing that the fueling station, again, is below Beaumont Avenue grade. But yeah, the two driveways that are off of Beaumont Avenue, there's no walkways down those driveways into the site.
Let me ask our civil engineer on that.
There's going to be a lot of kids walking down that way.
Patrick Flanagan, Cask Engineering, civil engineer on the project. We could fit in additional, but we are providing the minimal one of the ADA paths off of Oakland. This ADA path is connected from parcel 3 north to parcel 2, and then, of course, then to parcel 1, which would be the way to access.
I think it would be wise to have at the true driveway points, because you got your internal circulation, you can see that drawn out on here. But I think it would be wise to have some kind of a pathway from Beaumont Avenue down to those internal points at the driveways. You're going to see a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah, I echo that because, Beaumont High School is the only high school in Beaumont. It's right up the street, and you're going to get a significant amount of kids going down to that shopping
Well, and
center.
you've got a number of private schools just on the parcel adjacent.
Commissioner?
Over Beaumont Avenue.
Yep.
The parking lot at
Yeah. I mean,
Stater
I'm already
Brothers
seeing them
is
walking
chock
through the
full of
bushes
kids.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk through the bushes at Stater Brothers to get to the Starbucks, so.
You clarify the driveways or,
The driveways.
the entrance
Yeah,
driveways?
the two entrance driveways on Beaumont Avenue, they don't appear to have sidewalk or a pathway down to the internal circulation areas.
Per our project civil engineer, he says we have the space to add those two walkways in the landscape of the concrete fingers adjacent to those driveways. So we'd be happy to add those if the commissioners think it's helpful and would be best for the project.
I think it would be helpful.
Okay. The other thing I forgot to mention in my general presentation of the project is that as part of this project, we are widening both Oak Valley and Beaumont, and we're installing a second traffic signal that lines up with our main entrance to this project on Beaumont and lines up with the entrance to the existing Stater Brothers shopping center across the street. And we're adding a bus stop on Oak Valley, and we're upgrading the water lines on our property, all at over $2 million of improvements that the project would be bringing with it to the city.
So that traffic light would be mid-block?
Yes,
It would not be at an intersection, it would be at the entrances.
correct. And we'd be relocating the existing traffic signal on Oak Valley and Beaumont because of the street widening work we're doing.
Right. So it'd be two four-way. So it would line up with the driveway to Stater Brothers. That's a nightmare to make a left out of there too, so.
Yeah, so it'll help the existing conditions from that shopping center. And the project's also contributing towards future improvements on two or three other intersections per the traffic study that was done.
This parcel's just got such a good opportunity. I mean, it's got Noble Creek Park is right there. You know, you have the high schools there. For that retail building, I hate to see it be a Dollar General. You know, is there a way that we can ensure that it's going to be I don't know, a desirable tenant? I don't know if we have the ability to even to do that unless it's part of a, you know, agreement that you have amongst your, you know, because are you going to retain ownership of the site?
Yes.
You know, so unless it's part of a, you know, a agreement there, I don't know if we can't condition anything, can we?
No, we can't.
I'd love to see that turn into, you know, some additional kind of dining, or even if it was split up as, you know, for something to sit down. You know,
Well, if it alleviates any of your concerns, the dollar stores are going out of business. They're not generally opening new stores now.
well, it can be $5 stores now, right?
I mean, I think one of them's closing 1,000 stores, 99-cent only is in bankruptcy, closing all of their stores, and yeah, and we would try to get a use that would be good for the shopping center, good for the community, and a stable tenant. We've never, in 35 years, we've never developed one dollar store.
Okay.
Ever.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Aldi, we already have the Aldi. You know, it's not going to be a pharmacy. You know, those are starting to close now too, and they're already around here in the city. I was just trying to think, you know, what goes into that fills that space. You know, making sure that we attract a high quality tenant, or oh God, even like a food hall or something. You know, just something that's, you know, it wouldn't be a big food hall, which I don't think we can support a large one like they have. What's the one in Rank Show? You been to that one? No. Haven Market. You know, that, yeah. Okay, you're nodding. We couldn't support that here, but you know, the smaller one. I just like to see a high quality tenant in that parcel.
Agreed.
Question for your engineer. The grading is showing going down that slope heading into the creek. I see it's mapped outside the floodplain limits. At what point is it considered a creek impact? Is it if you're in the floodplain?
I believe so. And we did have the limits, you know, determined by Hewlett-Zollard, and so as well as the FEMA limits plotted. So we were outside of both those limits.
Okay. And then you've got a nice big old no build zone through the middle of the property. Is that faulting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I take it if you're outside the limits, you're not pursuing a Clomar-Lomar then?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Now, the creek's obviously moved, you know, over time. You know, it's pretty well incised on that between parcel 7 and parcel 1. Is there any revetment or creek protection or anything that's going to be necessary there, or is there upstream mitigation that's occurred that's reducing the flows? It's not going to make it likely that the flow line's going to shift again.
We don't anticipate. Again, this was just done at the flood limit zone was done in 2020 at that time, so that was when that report was done and plotted.
Anybody have any of the commissioners have questions for the car wash representative?
No, I think Quick Quack is pretty self-explanatory. I don't know. We just a lot of drive-throughs.
Okay, so.
So I did have a question for 7-Eleven though about the fueling station. You know, because I mean, obviously, I want the corner to look nice. We want that corner to be, and you know, my concern is just the canopy it doesn't really kind of lead to what we can envision for that corridor. Is there anything, like I said, you flip the C-store with a canopy or anything like that?
Sure. My name is Mike McFarland. Excuse me. Excuse me. A little hoarse on my voice here. Sorry about that. So I'm representing 7-Eleven tonight. Typically, we like to have the C-store and the positions in with the canopy there. It creates a better visibility and safety for the overall station. Also, from a police presence driving by, there's this fishbowl effect, the way that the windows in the C-store and the visibility and the lighting for the store and the canopy in front there. So that creates a lot of visibility and creates safety reasons. So that's why we designed it that way. The reverse orientation that you're talking about, that's something that I'd have to take back to 7-Eleven to senior management. I can tell you that it's very few that they design that way. And again, it has a lot to do with safety, circulation, and visibility, for the site that's there. You also, I know that in 2035, we're all supposed to be driving electric vehicles.
We'll see.
We're going to see on that. I'm also involved a lot with hydrogen, different things there, and EV. 7-Eleven understands that there's this deadline that's looming in many states as well. So they are actively pursuing different EV things that they can do on site. We do have EV chargers that we do on site as well. We build those as part of it. I think on this site, there's one that's proposed here. But 7-Eleven is looking at designing EVs for when we need to have that. So what that's going to look like in 10 years, I can't tell you, but I know that they've spent a lot of time and money right now in focusing some of the larger sites that we have. We do have full banks of charging systems where we'll have 4 or 5 chargers that are there, along with the fueling side of it. So in 10 years, there may be, maybe that canopy just disappears altogether as a whole bank of EV charging. I can't answer that question right now, but I will also say this, just because in 2035 when that starts, there's still thousands and tens of thousands of cars that are going to need gas there. So just in 2035, just because we're all supposed to be in electric vehicles or no more gas vehicles, so there's still going to be a need for fossil fuels and to fill the cars up from that. Okay? Happy to answer any other questions you have.
Well, I'd be curious to see what your corporate says about flipping things around. The new 7-Eleven on Cherry Valley at the main intersection, it's the building that's at the intersection the canopy sits behind.
Cherry Valley and the Stater
Stater
Brothers
Brothers
shopping?
Shopping Center.
I did that one too.
Yeah. You
It's
drive
here
into
and
the,
it's
you drive
here.
into the, it's the building that's at the stoplight. It's not the canopy. Yeah.
Not, okay.
Yeah. The 7-Eleven at the Home Depot in Redlands, it's the C-store that's at the corner, and then the canopy is set a
They
little
do,
bit further
like I
back.
say, they do some of them, so it would be something to have, there's no guarantee, and they may walk away and make that decision if that's the condition that's put on this. They may walk away from that. I can't make that decision at this point in time. It's something that would have to go back to the senior management team. They'd have to go back and look at it and make that determination.
Okay.
They would anticipate a lot of pedestrian traffic through your gas pump area. You're in that neighborhood when school gets out, those kids are just everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, from a pedestrian standpoint, though, it'd be, they're gonna have to walk through landscaping the cruise through there. We have a path of travel that goes right up to the building, so that should be the path that they take.
7th graders don't care.
No, I understand that, but, you said earlier, you can't plan for
You can't.
every
No.
position and every person and they're out there. So we're doing the best that we can to eliminate pedestrian traffic in that area.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? Any other callers or anybody online?
We do. If there are no questions for the current caller of the car wash, then we can disconnect that
Okay.
call and move through. I believe there's 2 other callers.
Okay.
For public comment or for support team? Or we don't know?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just want to throw them through so that they can let us know.
I do have a comment or a question for staff. So I did hear 7-Eleven say that there's an existing charging station, that they may pursue additional charging stations. if that is the case, do they come back in for a revised CUP for those additional electric charging stations? Because I'm looking at the only place that you're going to be able to place them is right there on that intersection, or that's where it could be placed, and that's what another concern of mine.
What we're talking about is a little ways down the road here, so the current design is what we're here to
No,
go on.
I understand that. I just want to make sure that if you come back to Planning Commission with, additional charging stations in mind, that it's not something that's unilateral, or it's something that comes back in front of Planning Commission as far as the location of that, especially if you're not going
Yeah.
to be able to flip that canopy.
I'm not sure in most jurisdictions, the EV chargings don't typically go through any type of planning review. They're a permitted use type stuff, so we go straight into design with the building department. They may route it to. I'm not sure here in your city, but that's most agencies. And that's the way that it works for that.
Yeah, I have seen some press that says every 7-Eleven will have at least 2 charging stations. I don't know if that's accurate, but I know that that's out there and it's being actively pushed by a number of EV user groups.
Correct. Yeah, and by code, we have to put in, I believe, at least one. And so in this one here, because this, as we've all mentioned, this site's been around for quite some time due to the size of this. This one's still just set at the 1, which is a requirement, I believe, for the building code right now. There's no plans at this point in time to add any more, but depending on future design, it could change everything there.
To answer your question, Commissioner Cuevo, we would need to look into that further. So I know with some of these alternative fuels, the state's come down and said that we have to allow them as a by right use. So that's something we'd have to look into further on the EV. I know that we've had some discussions about CNG and hydrogen in that aspect, but we can certainly do research and get back to you on the EV.
Thank you.
Would you like to move forward with the other callers?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this call since there were no questions for this caller and move on to the next. Rudy, can you send the next caller through, please? Caller, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
Go right ahead. You're on with Planning Commission.
I'm sorry. I'm actually with the developer. I'm on the environmental team.
Did you have a comment for the commission?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Did you have a comment for the commission?
No, I'm just here to answer questions if anyone had any.
Does anyone?
No.
No, it doesn't appear that we do have any questions.
Okay. There are no questions of the commission.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Rudy, do you still have another caller on the line?
I have no other callers on the line.
Okay.
Okay, then I will close the public hearing at this time. And I will ask for a motion for.
Before we.
Go ahead.
I would like to know the answer from 7-Eleven and from their corporate on kind of the reverse setting on it. Just with the construction of recent 7-Elevens that have been in that configuration. I love Google Maps because it's really easy to go and search, and there's a couple others that are set similarly in other cities that I would want to know if that's going to be a possibility or not, because it appears that there are service stations that are willing to do that. I know the one on Cherry Valley is. I know the one in Redlands is. Just doing a quick search on 7-Elevens on Google Maps right now, there's one down in the desert in Cathedral City that is. So I think it's something that obviously has been done by their corporation before. It's worked in other cities, and I don't see why it wouldn't work here. So I'd like to get an answer, and if it means continuing to the next meeting, I'd be willing to do that to try to get that item resolved. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Hi, Ari Miller again. I would really like to ask the commission to just vote on the project as it's designed. We've spent years and years designing and redesigning the project. The police department would prefer the design the way it is from a visibility and safety point. 7-Eleven most likely are just going to come back and say no, a month from now. And having the back of a convenience store building at the corner really doesn't look so great. I think it looks from an aesthetic point of view, it's nicer from the street to see the front of the building than the back. I know some other gas stations are developed the other way around, as you're saying, but I wouldn't say that it necessarily looks any better from a planning aesthetic point of view. The other thing about the gas station is that this area of the city doesn't have a lot of gas stations, and the gas prices are elevated. And getting a national gas station in here will breed competition and probably cause lower gas prices, which is good for the community because right now they're paying elevated gas prices. So I would encourage the commission. This project's bringing literally millions of dollars of improvements. It's an upscale design project, and it has a huge amount of benefits. And we're now approaching the 7th year on working with staff on planning. So, I'd ask you to look at the big picture and look at all the benefits the project will bring, including tax revenue, jobs, and literally millions of dollars of infrastructure improvements. And, and look at it as a whole and try to make a decision tonight if we can. Thank you. Thanks for considering the project.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion. Whether that motion be to continue or to forward a recommendation.
So we're, for Ms. Kendrick, we have a special meeting in 2 weeks that we're anticipating.
Yes, we will.
So it could be, wouldn't necessarily be a 1 month delay if we wanted to bring it back. For an answer like that, we could have an answer potentially and have it scheduled for the next meeting in 2 weeks.
That's correct.
Because, and I'll share with the commission, that's my hang up on this. And I'm not crazy about the drive-throughs, but I get the regulatory environment that exists that this project is subject to. And, as we're going through with our findings, we have to be consistent with what it was at that time. So I get that. But I would like to get an answer.
So I'd like to ask the representative from 7-Eleven, is that realistic to get an answer back within 14 days?
It would be less than 14 days because we do have to get our staff report out
That is correct.
posted by.
Yeah, I can't answer that question
Okay.
tonight. 14 days. I mean, we have to go back and redraw, relook, put all this together, and I'm just getting a message here. It's probably closer to 30 days for us to need to review, redraw this up, and look at how this would work from an operational standpoint as well. So a minimum of 30 days.
Thank you.
Question for staff. There was a comment made about the configuration being considered for safety consideration, that was a better layout. Has there been any feedback from PD about that, or do we have any sort of comments from PD related to the site configuration for the?
We do not.
Okay, I'm not hearing a motion in any way, shape, or form. Personally, I'm concerned with the queuing of the drive-throughs, the tremendous amount of pedestrian traffic from the schools. There are multiple schools across this intersection, tons of them. And I'm still a little hung up on that as opposed to being a true retail center. This looks like a a fast food park. But I'm not seeing a motion. Anybody
Well,
willing to make a motion?
with that one, I've made my opinion, so I'll make that motion to continue the item so we can get an answer from 7-Eleven on the potential of moving that. So continue the meeting to the,
June
probably to
12th?
June 12th.
June
Yeah.
12th would be the next meeting after our May 22nd special meeting.
So I would make that motion.
Do I have a second? I will second, if that's appropriate, that we move this to the June 12th meeting, anticipating a response back from 7-Eleven, be it from 7-Eleven or through the developer, whatever is appropriate.
I can do a roll call if you'd like.
Before you, can I ask one more question? So I want to make sure I understand this from the civil engineer. We're okay with putting additional sidewalks in there to bring kids into the interior. So that issue can be mitigated.
Correct, yes.
Okay. So now the only thing we're looking at is flipping the canopy.
But the other item we discussed was screening the headlights, which seemed to be something that was going to be accommodable easily as well, so.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're agreeable to add the 2 pedestrian driveways off Beaumont, and we're agreeable to amend the landscaping plan to add a hedge at the point on parcel 5.
No, where you have.
Where Quick Quack turns, yeah.
So to staff's, I would leave that to staff's
Yeah.
discretion and review.
We'll add conditions when this returns.
I'm not going to be able to attend the meeting next month, won't be in the country, so I guess 7-Eleven, it really just deals with 7-Eleven. So just putting that, letting everybody know that I don't think I won't be able to attend if I
And that's
can
understood.
remotely.
You know, I think we're down, for me, I'm down to a question.
Okay.
Okay, we ready for a roll call vote?
Commissioner Cueva?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chair Southard?
Yes.
Chairman Cooley?
Yes. Okay, do we have any planning manager comments?
Thank you, Chairman. So there's been a lot going on, but we had a very heavy agenda, so I don't have much to update. We will be bringing forward staff reports for 3 conferences that have been attended that we haven't been able to update you on. So that would include the Planning Commissioners Academy. Just want to be able to share information with the rest of the group regarding the learning opportunities and information. Also, planning staff and I attended the AEP conference in March. It's the Association of Environmental Professionals. That was a great conference. We got a lot of good information, so I'll be doing staff report on that as well. And then I attended the CALED, the California Association of Local Economic Developers Conference last month. I'll be providing an update. There was some information that would be useful to the Planning Commission. And then Assistant Planner Fountain and I did attend the National Planning Conference in Minneapolis last month. So I'm going to be bringing a staff report to you that will provide information so you can follow up if you wish to do so. As mentioned, we will be having our May 22nd meeting that will have the Walmart Fuel project. That does go on to City Council. That is a specific plan amendment and a plot plan. And then we'll have, of course, the June 12th meeting for Beaumont Village. And just to remind you, we are planning the Planning Commission and City Council joint workshop on the zoning code update on June 18th. And for City Council, we have Beaumont Point will be going back to City Council on the 21st of this month. And then we have We will be taking the two specific plan amendments that the commission heard to the June 4th city council meeting and potentially the Walmart fuel on that date as well. And that's all I have at this time. I just want to say thank you for sticking through this very heavy agenda, and Commissioner Cuevo, sorry we didn't plan it this way.
One quick question.
It's easier than when Commissioner Southern came on with it's easier than when Commissioner Southern came on with one of the warehouse projects as the first meeting, so.
One quick question. What time is the June 18th joint?
I'll be working with the city clerk on that. Do we have a time established?
I don't know that we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we're working on that.
All right. So then we'll go for an adjournment.
Oh, excuse me, Chairman. So the deputy city manager indicated that that date may change, so stay tuned. I'll update the schedule.
Okay. So the next regular planning, Beaumont Planning Commission is scheduled for Wednesday, June 12th, 2024 at 6 p.m., but we also have a scheduled special meeting on May 22nd, again at 6 p.m. So with that, we are adjourned.